2,100 performers brought together here by Walt Disney Productions. It's going to be the biggest and most glittering halftime show in Super Bowl history. We're going to take you through a spirited journey through the great moments of musical movies. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
This is how Phyllis George introduced the halftime at Super Bowl 18, January 22nd, 1984. A spectacular show created by the staff at Walt Disney World. Join us now as we take a fascinating look behind the scenes of what went into the making of this fantastic spectacle. From Disney, a super halftime. The Super Bowl is the football game, the culmination of a season of professional football, an American classic. It is a game seen by over 105 million people in 25 countries around the world. The halftime has to be just as spectacular.
So the first thing we see for the show is Tinkerbell flying. Jay and I got a little clip of that flying across the screen. The screen opens up, and around the whole stadium we have 10 Hollywood searchlights. They're valleying. The stars are chasing around the field. And we have a title that comes up. Sparkling salute to the silver screen. And this whole center of the stage, we have balloons. 50 clusters. The balloons go up in the air. The 2 swimming pools are set. The girls holding the beach balls in the end zones are walking into the swimming pools. And we have the piano players playing. And we have Donald set down at the press box side with his clapboard that you're going to design for lights, camera, action. So at this particular time, the show, we have about 545 dancers, right, Jay?
The preparation started at Walt Disney World 2 years before in the mind of this man, Gary Pabin, the show director. It was his job to create and organize the show that Scott Powhatan, the technical director, would then have to implement. They led a team of 45 entertainment and technical people, including 5 choreographers to handle all the different dance routines, costume designers, scenic designers, a musical director, special effects, and prop experts. Each would add their own expertise to execute the largest and most dazzling live Disney production ever. No one wanted to create just an ordinary halftime show.
And most halftime shows are bands, which are great, and people marching on and off the field in great formations, but very few dancers. So I thought if we could take that whole idea of the bands and have dancing members and have a cast of 2,500 or 5,000 or whatever, that we're all dancing rather than pulling fabric across the field and making formations, that it could be exciting for the audience and could be perhaps the world's largest live Busby Berkeley show, because Busby Berkeley certainly did it in the films. I wish I could
According
make it
to
black and
Gary,
white and turn it
his
to color
greatest challenge
and
was
have
to
that
make it
magic, but
uniquely
I think it'll have
Disney.
I didn't want it to be so sweet and so pure that the football fans would say, oh, no, come on, that's enough of that. And I felt that all the whimsy and the charm of all the Busby Berkeley shows could come to life with the use of our characters, and seeing our characters in situations where most people don't see them. They think of Mickey Mouse as Mickey Mouse or Goofy as Goofy. They don't think of Goofy and top hat and tail dancing, or Minnie as Carmen Miranda. And I think that's a lot of fun, and that's a lot of magic. And throughout the show, I've tried to develop that so it grows, and they become part of a number, and the other people dance around them, so it becomes a Broadway show, not just a character show. And the characters, though, are the key instrument in all the numbers.
But Busby Berkeley didn't need over 240 stagehands to move all the set pieces on and off the stage, which in this case was a football field. There were 14 grand pianos, not only with candelabras, but each with its own palm tree that would pop up on cue. And at the finale of the show, sprays of fireworks would come from these same pianos. There were 60 glittering stars with chasing lights that would rim the field. And of course, searchlights to give it that Hollywood touch. The look of 2 60-foot swimming pools as background for 180 bathing beauties doing a kaleidoscopic dance number was created of specially made materials. Centered on the 50-yard line was a 47-foot star-shaped stage with a 20-foot lift rising in the middle and machinery to create clouds of smoke. It was so large, it had to be constructed in sections to get it into the stadium and then assembled at midfield.
How many people, Scott, is it going to take to move this out on the field, lock it together in the time that we have allowed?
Lots. This is going to be the remaking of Ben-Hur. I don't know, Butch and David, we talked about it. We figured there's 20 pieces, and I think we figured a minimum 6 people per piece. So that's 120 bodies, hefty bodies. Do you have 120 muscle men available?
Sure. And
great ideas must often give way to the limitations of the stage. After all, this is a football field.
We'd like around 20, but I don't think that the NFL will go for destroying the field with the tonnage from the cars.
How much does each rolls weigh? Something like
A ton and a half or 2 tons, depending on the
like
vintage.
8 tons or
Yeah,
something.
they're
Well, Camaros would not look good.
Setting up on the field was going to be an enormous problem. CBS would cut away to exactly 5 minutes of commercials. When they came back, everything would have to be in place to begin the halftime show. There was never a doubt in Gary's mind that it wasn't going to work.
It just took a lot of planning. The numbers don't bother me. I think Disney's very good with operationally making things happen. They think about everything in the world that can go wrong and then how to avoid it. And with all of the planning, I never worry about it. Any idea can happen. It's a very magical place to work.
When the planning was complete, construction began on the thousands of items necessary to make a spectacular event. The amount of materials needed was just as amazing as the rest of the show. The 20 center stage sections used 5,000 board feet of lumber and over 200 pounds of nails. Props, like the 80 tap dance discs and the 18 letters needed to spell out, "Hooray for Hollywood," had to be made and painted. By the time they were finished, the Disney painters had used over 50 gallons of paint and 200 pounds of glitter. Then there were the costumes. It took 50 people 4 months to organize, fit, alter, and set up for issuing the 2,100 outfits. For just that alone, the wardrobe department put in over 3,000 man-hours. More than 10 times the work would go into the average show. Every detail was important, like 150 pairs of red gloves with gold bows, 200 yellow sombreros, and 100 blonde wigs. For the accessory and specialty items alone, 5,500 yards of material was used. Everything was being done in numbers unprecedented, even for Walt Disney Productions.
The finale of the show should be spectacular. There are 300 of these girls in this white ruffle skirt, which is just real full, and a ruffled leotard.
By January 2nd, with just 20 days to go, all the preparations at Walt Disney World were completed, and the loading of the costumes and props began. It took a week to fill the fleet of trucks necessary to move everything 125 miles to Tampa Stadium. It took 1 semi just to transport the karaoke hats. Several trucks were used as a central supply, doling out everything from electrical and audio supplies to aspirin. After all, the show was being produced miles away from their home base. It would have been a long walk back for a ruffled leotard. Because of prior commitments, the stadium wasn't available until just 1 week before the game. It wasn't until then that Scott would know if all his planning and logistics were going to work.
What you got here is this stage. It's a real mess. I mean, we've got to get it out to the center of the field. And we got 3 minutes.
Okay, which way is the we play for? Where's the press box?
Press side is on the west side of the field. That's downstage. Upstage becomes over there.
Okay.
And this was designed, you know, to go together quickly until we rehearse it. I don't know.
Okay, so it goes from the 45 to 45, and the center's on the 50, facing.
Yeah.
Even with all the pre-planning, this was still the first time everything was at Tampa Stadium. And there were hundreds of little details to be worked out, like putting the pieces of the center stage together. And it seemed the football field was not as smooth as the shop floors at Walt Disney World where it was first built. As we all know, design is one thing, execution another.
We've got about 1.25 inches here of...
And everyone was well aware that on game day, they'd have less than 5 minutes to do this same task. Everything needed to be positioned and rehearsed. The piano boxes, the stars, and the fireworks spread all over the field needed electricity, requiring special planning, and 4 miles of wire. The dancers, who were volunteers from local high schools, were on the field for the first time. Beginning in December, 280 individual dance units rehearsed around the Tampa area. For everyone, this was the first time to see how the whole show would go together. There would be just one more rehearsal before game day. That, too, would be a first. It would be the first full dress rehearsal complete with props and costumes. It would also be the last chance to identify and work out any problems.
Just take your arms up and don't do
Game day. It's rained so much the last few days that the NFL wouldn't allow anyone on the field. That meant no dress rehearsal. They would be going out to perform in front of 100 million people with only 2 walkthroughs and no final rehearsal, making everyone very nervous. That's it, halftime. The 5-minute clock starts. As the teams move off the field, sets, people, and props start moving on. While the home viewer was watching this, the stadium audience was seeing this. 3 minutes to go. The sets are in place. Center stage went together in record time. Running the wires was more difficult than anticipated. The dancers move into position. 2 minutes and counting. One last-minute check to make sure nothing has been forgotten. 30 seconds to spare. Will it work? Will the hours of careful preparation pay off? Everyone knows it must be right the first time. There's no second chance. It was a nervous moment. As the director cues Phyllis to begin her introduction, the Super Bowl 18 halftime spectacular begins.
It's going to be the biggest and most glittering halftime show in Super Bowl history. We're going to take you through a spirited journey through the great moments of musical movies. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Walt Disney Productions proudly presents a Super Bowl 18 spectacular. A sparkling salute to the silver screen.
Let's go to the movies. Let's go see the stars. Let's go to those wonderful, fabulous, marvelous movies. Hooray for Hollywood. That's movie, Valley, movie Hollywood. pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. You ought to shine as brightly as Jupiter and Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star. Stepping out with my baby, can't go wrong, timing right. It's for sure, not for maybe, that I'm all dressed up tonight. Rolling up the avenue so happy, all dressed up just like an English chappie. Very snappy, up and step, up and walk with stick, look around, to their knees, putting on the red.
I won't dance.
Why not?
Don't ask me. I won't dance. Don't ask me. I won't dance. Madam, will you? My heart will let my think the things I go through. Hey, what's happening here? This is fun.
Phyllis's comments were typical. It all worked. The hours of planning and preparation paid off. 2,500 people worked long and hard under unusual conditions so they could entertain millions for only 12 minutes. To the people involved, it was all worthwhile. And the Super Bowl 18 halftime was history.